Hi, and thanks so much for joining me. Today we are featuring the brand new BYREDO palette. I know many of you tuned into the swatches of this palette, and that provided a little preview of how they might look on swatches, and trying on are sometimes similar, sometimes totally different. So I'm taking you through, gosh, several different looks. I'm not even sure how many I filmed, but I kind of filmed them over the week just so we could get a feel for different shadows. You'll see many of the shades that I was really interested in featured here, so let's go ahead and get started. Again, a little bit of the Anti-Pollution Mattifying Cream by CHANTECAILLE. And I really like having this type of foundation, something nice and hydrating, especially when my skin is dry. It's the No. 1 de Chanel BD41. SISLEY Concealer. Going ahead with the CdP Concealer. I've been trying this under foundations. I think it looks really nice under foundation, but it does take a little bit more work just to keep it in place, so I'm gonna apply it over foundation. La Prairie. I am gonna apply primer today, so the CHANTECAILLE. Let's set with the RODIAL glass powder. Just in the front. As usual, CHANTECAILLE's Perfect Blur Powder. Do my eyebrows really quickly. Since my skin is still on the dry side, we're gonna go in again with this cream product by Chanel. Really like it. Using my CdP Blush brush. Then let's go in with the deeper shade as well, just right under the cheekbones. Let's use this again, Rose Ecrin, and I think I'm gonna go on top of this with a little bit warmer blush as well, but we'll start here. This is by Chanel. I'm just gonna go in with just a little bit of 105 by CdP. It's got a bit of warmth to it, right in this area. Okay, it's actually been a few hours between the time I finished the last step and now, because the palette finally arrived. I was waiting for it to arrive. Thought it would arrive earlier, but I just did the swatches and now we're going to go ahead and try this out. So I was really impressed with all of the shades. Well, actually there was one shade that was a little bit powdery. And I was trying to think how we could start this out so you could see as many shades as possible. And I think we can build something gradually and that we can see at least more than a couple of colors. So let's go in with this shade first. This one, I was curious, I think might be a nice base shade for me. That is the shade Clay. Okay, I do appreciate how the backside has all of the shades, like the colors, and then the names under them or above them. That helps a lot. So let's just put this in the crease just to see. This behaves differently than the palettes, the smaller palettes that I have, like Metal Boots in the Snow. Those are very creamy. No residue on those when I pick up the color, but this one does behave more like a powder, although it is creamier to the touch. Okay, and then let's go in with this other shade, this cooler one, and just build the exterior and see, let's see how that goes. That's the shade Desert Rock. So those neutrals are actually quite pretty. So I'm glad that they included a couple of neutrals, one warm, one cooler. I think that'll work with a lot of the different shades in here. Now the other matte in here is this shade, so I'm gonna skip that one for now. Let's take a little bit of that under the eye as well. I've got Clay here. Oops, and I got something else on my eye. What did I get on here? Something. I don't know where that came from. That is, oh, you know what? I wonder if it came from this right here, the olive shade. I'm gonna add mascara right now just to see what this looks like with just the mattes. So if you are, although I don't know why you would get this if you just wanted the mattes, but at least we can see what they look like. Blend a little bit better and add some mascara and then clean that little bit off. Okay, and then I'm just gonna add 822, one of the new lipsticks by Chanel. So I just wanted to check those matte shades really quickly before I get into some of the fun shades. Let's go in with this. Let's do this one. I really want to see how that works. So let's take a shade in Sweet Brush. Reminds me a little bit of Chantecaille's luminescent eye shades, but a little bit more shimmery. There's a bit of fallout here though. I can feel some little bits on my nose, and there's a little bit, so I would apply this before foundation. It's a pretty shade though. Just doesn't have that same kind of creaminess like Metal Boots in the Snow does. That one's a really special palette. I'm gonna go underneath as well with this shade. Just a little bit. I was gonna tightline with, wow, that's very dramatic. I was going to use the black eyeliner by Chantecaille, but I think I wanna try the navy with this. I think that might be pretty, the navy one by Victoria Beckham. So I'm going to tightline with that, go in the waterline, and then let's see what that looks like. So I just tightlined. I really like the overall look. This shadow though, let me find a brush. I have another shade in Sweet Brush. It's not totally even, like, I don't know if you can see. You just have to be careful building this up. I wish I had like a nice matte shade underneath to have an even canvas to apply this on. I think that would be really pretty. Like a deeper shade, kind of like the teal shade as a base, because I can see it's not totally, like, it's not totally even. I can go in and fix that, but I'm just noticing it's not like a one application and it's even. You kind of have to double check and fill in. Maybe patting it on is better as well. There's a slight amount of fallout with this shade. It's a beautiful color though. I really think it's so unique. And I do have an eye base down, Next Generation eye base, Chantecaille. The other thing I noticed is when I started to kind of blend this out, it got a little bit patchy as well. So I'm gonna try and go in with a different shade. Maybe this one right here. Let's try this one above. I don't know how this is gonna go. We're experimenting at this point. Yeah, you can see kind of what happened there with the little bit of patchiness on that dark shade. So I want to kind of smooth it over. And then let's go ahead with something shimmery. Ooh, let's put this on the lid. This is going to be a lot right there. That coppery shade might be too much. Wait, should I put that on or gold? What should I put on here? I'm afraid to put that coppery shade on. What if it's going to be too much? Maybe not. Let's put this gold to like this bronzy. No, I don't know what to put on here. Maybe we should put the gold shade on. The gold or the copper? Oh, let's do the copper. If not, we'll put the gold on. Okay, let's put that coppery shade, the one in Sandstorm, right in the center. Okay, that's gonna work actually. Ooh, interesting. Actually, let's take that all the way to kind of the inner corner. Let's put on a little bit of Adventurous, this reddish shade. I'm gonna put it next to the other shade. This is a lot, I know, but I want to see what these look like on. It's kind of fun that they don't give you like guidelines or anything. You just find the colors you like and apply them. Actually, that's quite pretty. The bluish, greenish tones with the coppery tones. I feel like I need to change my lip though. Interesting. Was not planning on this. I just kind of want to see what else we can do. Let's take now this lighter shade and then let's go in the inner corner to kind of connect that. Quicksand. Let's take the one in the farthest corner, this one right here. That shade that's Rose de Sable. Okay, that's a little bit more intense than I thought it would be. Okay, let's just build up this corner a little bit more. Yeah, right up here looks a little messy. And let me find a lip to pull this together because I feel like that's too pink. I went in with one of the new lip shades by Chanel, 862. So now that you've seen one look with some of the more interesting colors I think that are in the palette, there are some other shades I want to try, but I wanted to go in with this olive toned shade. That one is the shade Faded Eden. We're going to start though with the one next to it again, Clay. It's got a little bit of a warmer tone. Let's apply Clay all over the eye. By the way, this is pretty much the same base routine I did with foundation, concealer, powder. And I do also have eyeshadow primer as well. The Next Generation Eye Base by Chantecaille. Okay, let's go in with this olive shade all over the lid. And let's see how even that is. Okay, pretty. That's actually more of a bronzy shade than olive. That reminds me a little bit of the Chanel shade, the one in the new palette. So I'll take that out in a little bit to see what that looks like. Now this one is nice and even going on, creamy. The reflective particles are more even. I think we saw that on the swatch as well. Yeah, I love that gilded look that you get with this, with that bronzier tone in there. I think it's really beautiful. It's a lovely shade. Yeah, and this one appears quite easy to blend as well. Let's go in with this shade on the lid, the more gold shade, the one I considered the last time. Oh yeah, the purple one just fell out. One of you told me that the purple one fell out. Interesting. I mean, it fell out in one piece, so that's good. And when you slide it in there, it's not perfectly square. So the wider side goes across and the shorter side goes up. So right here, that was interesting. Be careful of that one. Yes, so where were we? Oh yeah, let's take this gold shade right here. And that is in the shade, let me look, Pétale d'Or. I'm just gonna take that on my finger here and add that to the lid. Oh, that's really pretty. This is quite an easy eye here. Okay, I could add more. I think I'm gonna stop though because sometimes I just end up adding too much and then things get kind of lost. So I'm gonna keep this one simple here. I'm just gonna take Clay again and buff this in. I think this calls for Victoria Beckham bronze in the waterline, so let's try that. So I went ahead and added Khaki Metal by Chanel on the top. I did a little bit of a kitten wing. And then I tightlined with something because I wanted to try that more purpley shade. I went in with Violet Damask by Chantecaille right here. I don't know if you can actually see the color, but you can tell it's not exactly a black tone. So it kind of, I think, might work. Let's see. I really want to try Calcite, that purpley shade. So we're gonna work it in here. I don't know if this is gonna work, but I wanna try. And I think that's what this palette is all about. It's about just trying colors together that maybe you wouldn't think of putting together. I don't think I normally would put, well, I think they go well together. Purple and green, we'll see. And this is that really soft shade, so be careful with this one. I'm just gonna put this here in the corner. I just wanted to intensify a little. And let's just take a little bit of that under as well. Just went in with Chantecaille's Faux The Longest Lash Mascara. So I think it actually worked quite well. I don't know if you can really see that shade of that purple, but I didn't want it to stick out. And I knew anyway, I really just wanted to intensify the outer corners a little bit more, but I think it worked with that olive shade and the gold. I'm gonna go in with this lip shade. I'm not sure how it's gonna work yet. This is one of the new Chanel lip shades in number, this is 872. Okay, so this is Chanel's 747. It's not as olivey as this one. This is the shade Faded Eden in the BYREDO palette. So that's a difference. Close, but not totally the same, but it approximates it in case you were looking for something like this. If I look a bit more tan than normal, it's because I'm trying out the new GUERLAIN powder. I went directly on top of the Clé de Peau SPF. So this is what it looks like. I've just got that concealer powder and then eyebrows, eye base. So we're gonna go in with the Violet Damask by Chantecaille. So I'm gonna tightline, go on the waterline, do a bit of a wing. Okay, now that I've got the eyeliner on, so I'm gonna go in though with this color because I know I added it to the green, but I wanna see what this looks like by itself. This is Calcite. Ooh, that one's quite smooth by itself. I actually did this and I applied Chantecaille's Pangolin over it for the Luxury Beauty Starter Kit tag. Okay, this one is quite even, lovely. Has a bit of shimmer to it, intermittent shimmer, with that beautiful purpley shade. That's pretty. So we're gonna be quite dramatic today. Let's go over here. Clay, this one right here. I'm going to use that to help blend this right here. Okay, Calcite can be a little bit patchy as you try to blend, although I love it right here. So let me see if I can find another color to help me get that to look a little bit more consistent. So let's see, let me pack on a little bit more of Calcite. And then maybe we can do gold. That might be interesting. Just gonna add this to my lids. I want to take a bit of Sandstorm, this coppery shade, just to warm it up a little bit. We're going to take a little bit of this shade, the Rose de Sable, this one, and go right on the lid, just right in the center. My Raymore 6.5 to help smooth this over. I added a Clé blush in 105. I also went in with the new RêVE highlighter by Chanel, and the lip is 812 in the new Chanel lip products. I've had a chance to play around. Actually, there's one combination I still want to get to. I want to try this deep shade here with that teal. I think those might be really beautiful together. So along the way, I will try that one out for you. I have noticed this has sold quickly anytime it pops up on sites. I think the last place it was available that I saw was Selfridges, but I'll keep an eye on it and just keep checking back on the community tab in case I see it pop up anywhere else. One of the reasons I think people were attracted to this is because of the price point, although it's almost $100, which is still a lot for a palette. But you get 18 shades here, and typically the smaller palettes they have with 5 shades in them retail for between 70 and 80. So the formula though is different compared to the ones I've tried. So Metal Boots in the Snow is very creamy, even the metallic shades. Now there's a glitter shade in there, which I don't normally use. So I usually use 4 of the colors in there. So there was that one. And then there was the other one, which has all like gray and black shades in it, also very creamy. So the texture on these are not the same. They're not the same creamy texture, although that doesn't mean that they're not good either. They're just different. So these are more powdery. The mattes that I tried, the 2 mattes here on the top, are very nice. One's cool, one is warm. So I like the mattes. I thought you could do a really simple look, but that's not why I would buy this palette. I wouldn't buy it for the mattes. I feel like they could have offered more mattes. So instead of say these 3 down here, they could have included more medium matte shades, because the 2 mattes in there are a little bit on the lighter side. So maybe something deeper would have been nice there. So the next step up were these more shimmery shades, although they were very consistent in their shimmer. And the ones that have more consistent shimmer were more even going on. I thought they worked really well, was really happy with them. I think I liked these 2 the best. Faded Eden and Sandstorm, these 2. Those are probably some of my favorite ones that I tried, these 2. I thought the gold was pretty, the one in the middle called Pétale d'Or. I thought that was pretty, but it is more like a cooler gold. It doesn't have the same kind of warmth as some of the golds I've used. It's more of like a bronzy gold. This shade here, which is that more teal color called Under the Sky, was probably the hardest color for me to hardest color for me to apply. It was the patchiest of the shades that I tried. So I wish there was something matte that would have served as a base for that, so that you wouldn't have to worry about that inconsistency, because it's such a gorgeous color. So I think that might have solved the issue there. Like I said, I'd like to try this shade with it to see if that would be a nice base, although it's not a green base, so it might stick out. I don't know, I have to try it. As for Calcite, the more purpley shade that I wore here, really beautiful, went on evenly. The only thing was blending it. Yeah, I wish there was something I could have blended that a little bit easier with, something in between. So that's maybe where I think there were some opportunities for some other shades that they could have introduced, or more medium shades. Other than those things, this is one of the more fun palettes, and that's what I love about BYREDO, is that they are some of the more exciting palettes out there. And I think this is for people who want to be really creative with their makeup. I think that you're not gonna get your money's worth if you just wanna stick to the neutrals here. You really are going to get the most out of this by playing with these very unique shades and coming up with something very, very special. So that is consistent with my experience with BYREDO, in that they offer some of the most unique, most beautiful colors I've seen out there. I really have had so much fun playing with this palette. It does bring out a more creative side when it comes to makeup. So if you need some inspiration, this is a great one to play with. But I'll also use it for those times when I just want to kind of play around with some of the colors. I think that's also fun to do with makeup. And I used to do that before I had a YouTube channel. I'd just sit in front of the mirror and play with makeup. I thought that was so fun. I think if you like to do that, you'll also love playing with this palette. But really, if you want to get more creative and be inspired, then I would pick this palette up. And again, you have to like shimmer. There are a lot of shimmery colors, metallic shades in here. Really such a fun palette, and such a smart idea to mix these shades up and not predetermine what shades go together. I really like that, because that gives you all the flexibility to not be influenced about how you should put the shades together and really allow yourself to just play with color. But I'd love to know if you picked this palette up, what you think of it. Have you been inspired by the shades in here? I'd love to know. But that is it for today's video, so please take care of each other, stay well. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you next time.